Within a bleak and dismal swamp, hidden beneath its murky waters, lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time.
The Chase Shep Show with Shep and Chase.
Alrighty.
Hey, Friday.
Friday night reviews. We're back. Week 2.
Chase Shep Show.
Chase Shep Show. Friday night reviews.
Yeah.
Whole week, man. Whole week of season 2 in the books.
Been doing some lives for you guys, so a lot of it's just been on the spot.
Yeah, I've been digging the live shows. They've been pretty dope.
Yeah, dude. Last Wednesdays was so dope. It blew my mind so much. I still I don't feel right talking about it yet.
So we don't got no music for you today, but we do have 2 movies.
True.
One that it seems like we both dug quite a bit, and one that we're a little divided on. We seem to be a little divided on it. Let's start with Freaky.
Oh yeah.
The one we both enjoyed.
Yeah, that just came out not too long ago, right?
Yeah, so that was one that actually did come out to theaters last year, because Universal has this deal with like AMC theaters or something where it's like a 18-day like exclusivity thing, so it has to exclusively play in theaters for at least like a certain amount of time before it goes to streaming and stuff. But it is available on video on demand and stuff right now. You can rent it, and honestly, that was November, like October, November when that came out. So probably here in a month or so it'll be on DVD and Blu-ray. I gotta say, I'm probably gonna be buying this one. I'm probably gonna be adding this one to my collection. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, no, I did too. I love Vince Vaughn in this one. I thought he was really funny, on point. I've always loved him since the old school days. Ever since that movie, like I knew of him before then, but ever since that movie, I've been a big fan of his. So I do love to check out his work, and he's on point, man.
I've always dug Vince Vaughn. He just seems like just a likable dude. And he's from Chicago.
Right, yeah.
He's a Chicago boy. In this movie, I saw one guy talking about this movie, and he compared Vince Vaughn's performance in this to Jack Black's in Jumanji, and he thought Jack Black was better in Jumanji. And I gotta disagree on that one, because when I was watching Jumanji, I still saw Jack Black. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still seeing Jack Black play a teenage girl. But watching Freaky, there were moments where, like, there for a minute, I was forgetting that I'm watching Vince Vaughn. Like, I'm forgetting, like, yes, it's clearly Vince Vaughn, but like he does such a good job at like being this chick. And we'll get a little more into it in the spoilers. But I definitely had a good time with this. Actually, I looked into the director a little bit, and everything this dude has made I've actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
He directed Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, which was my favorite of the bunch, and he was a writer on Paranormal Activity, all but the first and the last one, I believe. And he directed both of the Happy Death Days and Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, all movies that were fun, at the very least. And I actually read something where he proposed a crossover movie with this and Happy Death Day called Freaky Death Day. I'm a little curious. I'd watch it. But man, those too bad we ain't doing Slays of the Week, because I think this movie would have just ran it all, dude. Just do that very first kill. I'm sitting here by myself, watching this movie, and that happened, and I audibly just go, damn. Damn, that was insane. And I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but for me, I don't think the kills got like I feel like it peaked right there in that opening scene. And there were some good kills like later on in the movie, but I feel like it really peaked there in that first scene, and it never quite made it back up to that point.
That was definitely a notable kill. A really good one. I think all the actors in this movie did really good, because I don't think I'd be able to keep face with Vince Vaughn acting the way he was.
Right, yeah.
Some of the scenes that they were in this movie, I would have shit, man. I would have been so hard. They'd have been like, bro, you're out. So hats off to all those guys, because they all killed it.
Yeah, I thought they all had very good chemistry too. Like the two people that played the friends and everything. The only character in this movie that threw me off, that I didn't much care for, was the sister. That was the cop.
Yeah,
she struck me as another one of those people that doesn't know how to use curse words. It's just like every time she used the word fuck, it just like something about it just like it just didn't fit. It just seemed like she was just saying it to say it sometimes, and that was like her one line that was consistently through the whole movie. What the fuck? What the fuck? Like over and over again. Like that's constantly what she's saying, like to everybody throughout this whole movie. But it was a dope concept. Freaky Friday the 13th.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which was the original title for this movie, actually. We do a terrible job at like explaining what these movies are about prior to getting into it, but Freaky Friday the 13th, Vince Vaughn and this teenage girl swap bodies.
Yeah,
And that
Vince
chick
Vaughn, the
is
serial killer.
right. So they definitely took like Friday the 13th and Freaky Friday and really just mashed them together, because they definitely have a lot of solid nods to some slashers like Friday the 13th and Halloween and stuff like that. But I dug it, man. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It was a
no,
good time.
I thought it was a great movie. I liked the ending of it. I thought the ending of the movie was very Scream-esque.
Yeah.
Like, like Scream set the rules, and I feel like this movie was like, you know what, we're gonna follow traditional slasher rules here.
Right.
And we're gonna give it to you. And I didn't really I had in my head I had seen something else coming. So I was thinking like, okay, it's gonna be a different way. And then when it went the way it went, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with this one. I mean, I guess I wasn't pleasantly surprised. I went into this knowing that I'd probably enjoy it. I was just glad that it was as good as it was. So before we get into spoilers, I don't know, we should really figure this shit out. We should really
Right.
figure out how we're gonna do this. Should we drop a score and then get into spoilers for this one and then move on to the next one?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. Would you say a score on this one?
I'd say 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. 8 out
Yeah,
of 10.
8 out of
Solid.
10. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. I didn't think there was too many cheesy moments in it or nothing stupid. That's kind of the vibe I had gotten going into this movie, just seeing the trailers on like Hulu and whatnot. I just thought it was like, like it would be one of those kind of aiming at like teen kids, comedy horror type things. But nah, I was pleasantly surprised, man. I was like enjoyable start to finish. I was like, all right, this is pretty good shit. So yeah, 8 out of 10. I definitely add this one to my Friday the 13th watch list.
Definitely. It would definitely be a good Friday the 13th pick for sure. Definitely one of the more solid Blumhouse picks from last year for sure.
Yeah.
I will have to agree with you and give it an 8 as well. And that's all I got to say about it. So let's get into spoilers. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Let's
Get out
talk
of here
about
if you don't want to hear about Freaky. Let's talk spoilers. That opening kill. Let's just start there. Let's just start there.
Right.
I knew shit was gonna go down, and I wasn't expecting much out of it. I was expecting some standard slasher bullshit. And as soon as the kid like broke that wine bottle and the camera just keeps like going up and down with him, you're waiting. It's just like one of those things where you're just like, when's it gonna happen? Not what I expected to happen. When he fucking grabs that kid's hair, pulls his head back, and slams that wine bottle down into his throat, and you just see it like bulge. That alone, like as he keeps hitting it down, I was like, damn. But what really audibly made the damn come out of my mouth is when he punched his throat and it shattered. And that's when I audibly went, damn, okay. And then that opening scene happened, and that's about the time I texted you and said, this movie is not fucking around. It's trying to put itself up there and take it, put itself in the pantheon with slasher flicks for sure.
Most definitely, man. It definitely jumped right into it, man, and went balls to the wall. I loved it. I thought, I really enjoyed that kill though. I was like, okay, like I was like, that's where I thought, like, man, if we were only doing slays right now,
yeah.
That'd be it. That'd be it right there. That'd be the week topper.
And there were definitely a few good ones in the opening scene when he just wipes out all those kids. But then there is the nod to Halloween, where that last girl, when she runs out to like go, it's like, oh daddy, and he grabs her and like puts her up on the wall, like, and pins her to the wall on the thing, and he does the little like tilted head thing and looks at her. That's like straight out of Halloween, like when he pins her to the wall and tilts his head and looks at her with the creepy mask and everything. So I was like, I see you. I see what you're doing here. I dug that for sure.
I did too, man. I like the side characters. I thought that they were funny. A lot of the comedy I think hit on point within this movie, and I was laughing at a lot of scenes. The ending though, man, like what I was talking about earlier, for me was where it was at, because once I guess we're just going complete spoilers since I'm jumping right to the end of it. But after they swap bodies, what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? Fucking Vince Vaughn's character, he gets shot by the cops. They're in the ambulance. They're like, he ain't gonna get flatline. And then you see that it's disconnected from his finger, and it's like, but did he do that? I don't know. Did he do that? So then I was sitting there thinking the whole time though, I was like, what if old girl didn't get swapped back, and she was the one that got shot, and all this and this
Oh,
and this and this. So then I started thinking that, like, maybe he's just, got it together. Like, I could play it
mhm.
up as I'm this girl and just go around kill people, la la la.
Yeah.
And so that's the twist that I was waiting for at the end, was like
I
some
thought
shit
that for a
like,
minute too. Yeah.
yeah, something like some little nod, like something like everything you think it's all roses and everything's all good, and then it's like, and then like she like looks at a knife and smiles or something like that, and you're like, ah, you know what I mean?
Right.
But for him to show back up though, like I said, to me, I thought that was Scream-esque. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, okay,
Definitely.
here's the killer. He dies twice in the movie.
Mhm.
I think that was one of the rules Scream said. He always comes back. Where in that movie it was in your face.
Yeah.
And then in this movie he comes back. I thought I did it pretty well, man. With all the girls, the whole family
Mhm.
just whooping his ass and shit. You know what I
I
mean?
liked that. Yeah, I liked when they all went in on him there at the end. I definitely thought the movie was just gonna end right where you saw like him flatlining and the thing off of his finger. I thought it was gonna end there and like set it up for a sequel. So I was surprised when it kept going,
Mm-hmm.
and we did get that last scene where he goes back to finish it off. And they kick the shit out of him. A couple of the scenes in this movie that I definitely found really funny. When the gay best friend has her tied up, and the mom comes home,
Oh
and
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and he's like, "I have to tell you something. I'm straight." And the mom's just like, "Listen, you are many things, but straight is not one of them. So what is going on here?" And I was just like, that whole scene I thought was so funny. That and the scene where the guy that she's crushing on
Yeah, and him and her in the car. Yeah,
gets
that
in the
scene
back
was
seat,
classic.
dude. And that is what, like the exact kind of scene like what you're talking about, not being able to keep a straight face. Like,
Oh yeah,
oh
no.
man, like how could you not just be, because Vince Vaughn does such a good job. Like just does such a good job of committing to
Everything,
it.
everything. Even after they kiss and stuff, and he's like, "My hand's so big, it's so
Right, my
weird."
hand is
All this
two
stuff.
is twice as big as your face.
And the guy's like, "Oh, that whole thing." I was rolling hard at that scene in
I
particular,
thought,
just
is
because.
it weird that I want to kiss you right now?
Yeah.
It's just like
Right
so
when they
funny.
hit, right when they get back, because it's like a split scene. You got other stuff going on in this police
Mhm.
station. It goes back to them two in the car, and the crush is just like, "Would you mind if I get in the back seat?" And I was just like, "No, the fuck they're not." And yes, the fuck they
Yes, they
did.
did, and I thought that was so funny. I thought that was so
I
so
wouldn't, yeah, like props to that dude, because I couldn't have done it.
I thought it was hilarious. And that was the scene definitely that like that's where Vince Vaughn just disappeared for me. Like Vince Vaughn just disappeared into this role, especially in that scene where he's just so committed to it.
Very believable, man.
And
Yeah, very believable.
it's hilarious. I was
Funny
actually
ass movie.
surprised that the main character, Catherine Newton's character, had like hardly any lines when she swapped with Vince Vaughn. I mean, it makes sense. It also kind of makes sense that the kills never got any more intense either, because they kind of, in a sense, explain that he's not as strong in her body and stuff. And I
Right?
thought that
Yeah,
was
he's got.
cool. I liked he wasn't able to just like dispatch all these people as this chick, like because he's in this little teenage girl body and he is weak and he can just get tossed around like a rag doll. And
Yeah,
I thought that was a
it's
cool
like
aspect.
he has to be the victims that he's always killed at that point, and he's trying to go fucking kill people, and he just gets like hit and thrown down, and it's like shit. But
Mhm.
it's a
Which
fun, dude.
all
It's a
comes back around to that ending scene too, where he's like, I learned something when I was in your body, and she's like, yeah, me too. Having balls sucks. It's just
yeah.
like, word,
No,
no
yeah,
doubt.
it was a great movie overall. I
I
I love
enjoyed it.
that one.
I
Yep.
definitely enjoyed it. It was a good time. And that was one that I did almost brave the movie theater for last year, and now I kind of really wish I did. But like I said, I'll definitely be adding that one to my collection. It was a fun time.
Eh, And then we get into this next one.
All right, so this next one is another little genre bender, and this is the new release. This just came out last Friday on January 1st. It's in movie theaters right now if you got movie theaters open. And Aaron and I felt very differently about this. I had the time of my life watching this movie. It was called Shadow in the Cloud, and I was hooked from beginning to end. Honestly, I to the point where even at the end of this movie, I was literally like cheering, like I
Did
was.
you did you know anything about this movie going into it?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
which is what made me want to watch it. in the first
Okay.
place when I started finding out some of the crazier aspects of this movie. Because at first, when I started seeing the poster and the trailer pop up a lot, and I didn't really check it out because I thought it was just some World War II movie with Chloe Grace Moretz in it. And so I was like, I'll get around to it eventually. But then I started seeing this other stuff pop up about it. And they started
Right.
talking about Gremlins, which this isn't a spoiler because this is like a huge plot point of the movie. And it's pretty forward with it. But as soon as I started hearing the stuff about like the Gremlins, I was like, okay, we're gonna. That's when I texted you and I was like, hey, why don't we watch this one this week? Because it just sounded like a crazy time, and
Right.
it was on my end. I thought it was crazy as hell.
I mean, it was crazy. I'll give it that. I
I
didn't know
I
shit about
actually
this movie.
probably knew more than was necessary going into this movie. Like I knew it pretty much exclusively takes place in that little bubble,
It should have
practically
stayed
just
in.
in one location the whole movie, which
Mhm.
makes sense. It was shot during COVID. Like all of this was shot during COVID last year, and so this was definitely the way to do it. These ain't your mama's gremlins, I'll tell you that. These are, and that's based on a real thing. Like back in World War II, there were like these Warner Brothers cartoons, and they do like a little parody thing of it at the beginning of
Right.
the like wartime
Yeah.
cartoons featuring the gremlins and stuff like that. And so I don't know. I thought it was very interesting.
See, I went into this movie blind. I didn't know anything about this movie. So I was trying to piece it together as I was going through it. And I got to say like it was confusing as shit to me. And that could have just been how I choose to live my lifestyle, but
I almost said that to you too. I almost texted you and said,
I
"Well,
don't I don't know, but like it was something, but it just didn't catch for me. Like it was just something about it that I was like, I think they're just trying to do too much with it with like, like I get the overall
mhm.
like maybe overall story of it, but I think that they just added a lot of nonsense in the middle for no reason.
Well, see, something that I figured out by accident going into this was what was in the package, because that's a mystery, and that I kind of pieced together because I saw a picture before starting the movie, and I was like, I'd almost guarantee that's what's in that package. But I was curious. I was like, what is going on? Like what? Yeah, like who is she? Like what is he? I did think I did start to get a little confused there for a minute when they're like, "Do you hear her voice?" And I'm like, "What? Does she like sound more confident now, or like what?" And then I was like, "Oh, she dropped the accent." I was like, "Oh, okay, like interesting." And I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And I was definitely, I didn't really know nothing about that. But to be quite honest, that's I don't know. Like on the list of things I enjoyed about this movie, like that plot point is way down here. Like I could give a shit about any of that because this is a movie that does not give a shit about believability. It doesn't care. It's just here to give you a good time at the movies. I need our movie theater open yesterday because I this is one that I think would have been dope to see in a theater for
See,
me personally.
I don't think so, man. I think if I would have paid to see it, I'd have been a little salty.
I'm
I'd have
through.
been a little
Right now,
salty.
it's my favorite movie of January, no
Oh
doubt.
no, Freaky by far, in my opinion, blew that shit up out the water. Like watching that one.
Well, and I've definitely seen online that this is just one of those movies that it's just like this. It's just divisive. Like you either like it or you don't. It's just for you or it's not.
So then, what are you gonna score this? So then we can dive into this shit.
So I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
8.5.
8.5. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I give it a 5. I think
Damn.
it had the potential of a good movie in it, but I think it strayed from that. I think it very far strayed from that, and I think we're gonna get into that where I exactly can tell you where I believe. Well, I guess spoilers, so I guess
Yeah.
we can just
So
get
let's
into
do
it.
it. That was our score.
Um,
Spoilers for Shadow in the Cloud. Jump out
Shadow
now.
in the Clouds. So I'm watching this movie. Weird. I like the music in it. I do have to point that out. I do really like the music.
Yes, dude.
Yeah,
The
I
music
like the
was one of
music.
my favorite. I like. I'd buy that soundtrack. I
Yeah,
really really dug the music in this movie.
the music was good. So then, like, you get into it. She's in this capsule. Cool. You see the gremlin. Okay. So I'm thinking, all right, kind of giving me a little, Twilight Zone vibes here.
Hmm.
I fucks with that. I love the Twilight Zone. I grew up watching that. Really started off like that. Then the Japanese plane comes in, and I'm like, all right. So now we're getting into like a action-ish war type of plot maybe here to
Hmm.
it. I don't know. And so I'm thinking maybe she's gonna start trying, maybe she's seeing shit. No, and she keeps talking about her package, and I'm like, man, there must be something important in that package. And there's these gremlins and like all this shit. When it becomes a baby, that's when I was like, all right, that's fucking
Mhm.
stupid. That to me was fucking stupid. Like they that to me they should have, like, she should have had a fucking gremlin in the bag and they should have opened it like without her knowledge, and that released the gremlin on the plane. I think that would have made for a fucking focus on the gremlin trying to fucking take them down. And yeah, throw some Japanese fucking shit, other airships in there for some intensity of what's going on. But then it just, like, to me, like everybody, she'd come in contact with all these fucking guys. Okay, mind you, I did not at all enjoy any of the time she spent outside of the fucking plane, because I was like, that is impossible. All this is like completely
See,
impossible.
I just had such a good time with it, like, because I knew going into it that this was just not a movie that cared to be believable. Like, it had no desire to be like, oh,
Until it
look how
decided
realistic we're being.
until it decided to use like real time physics and shit like that. That's what bothers me. Like, if you're gonna go all out, go all fucking out. Nothing should be believable at that point. But to be,
I don't
and
know.
then it just really bugged me. Like, okay, she gets back in, whatever. Fucking saves this baby somehow, whatever. Cool. But then every fucking person she talks to then dies. Every person that woman talks to died. Like, literally, she's like, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" Like, and they're like, "Holy shit, how did you get back in here?" Dead.
I don't know. I feel like you've completely oversimplified this film. I think you just didn't dig it. I think that's all there is to it.
No, and it's just like, okay, and then at the end of it, like, they get to the ground. Cool. That was pretty dope. But then it's like, then this gremlin pops up and steals this baby. And maybe I missed the point of why are the gremlins going after the baby?
It never did say. I never said why the gremlin's trying to get the baby. I don't know enough about gremlins to know if they eat babies or something. I've got no clue. But for
So
me,
that I didn't get either. I thought maybe I thought there was a point in this movie that I thought maybe they all fucked up somehow, and this gremlin's coming to kill them all because they all fucked up.
for me, I feel like it lays it out from the get go. You know, it shows the old Warner Brothers esque cartoon where it's like, oh, gremlins are tearing apart the plane, and like I said, that was a real thing, like back in World War II, where people were like, oh, gremlins fuck with our planes and stuff like that, and that's what this whole concept was. So the whole thing with the Japanese and everything like that doesn't seem like too much to me. It's a World War II movie. That's the stuff that makes sense, is the Japanese being out there and everything, and the gremlin and everything was the outlandish part of it. But I think this movie was more than anything very much about like gaslighting too. None of these dudes took her seriously, like at any point, until it was too late. You know, it was definitely like a film of female empowerment. Chloe Grace Moretz was super badass in this movie, I
Yeah, but
thought.
then we can question how she knew any of this shit, because she was just a regular person
But
and
she was
lied
no,
about
she was in the army. She was a part of the Air Force, because she said she joined up to get away from her abusive husband, and he found her. And that's where all of this comes into play, where she steals the stuff, gets on the plane, and I like I said, I got the baby thing spoiled for me when I went to start the movie, and I saw like a picture of a baby, and I was like, I'd almost guaranteed the baby is in the package. And as soon as they opened the package and it was a baby, I was like, yep. Now, what I didn't expect was that baby to belong to one of the men on the plane, for one of the men on the plane to be the father. I was like, oh, interesting. But like I said, I didn't care. I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a shit about the baby. I didn't give a shit about the relationship. I didn't give a shit about the abusive husband. I was there for the Chloe Grace Moretz show and
See,
watching her just be a badass and do unbelievable
I didn't give
stuff
a shit
like,
about any of that either, but they put that so much. Well, they put that shit in the center though, the relationship, and that's,
I don't know.
fuck it.
I don't know.
I just
I had a good time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun on my end. It was just for me. This is what movie going experience is all about. It's just fun. It's just a fun time at the movies. This is what this was for me, and it's not going to be
if
for everybody. Clearly, it's a very divisive film.
if I wasn't watching this to do these reviews with you,
Hmm.
I would have turned that movie off at the point where she falls out of the plane, another plane explodes her back into the plane. That was the point that I was like, I was like, oh fuck this
I
movie.
saw that in the trailer, and that was part of the reason I watched the movie. Like everything you didn't like about this movie is why I fucking decided to watch this movie.
See,
And
that's like
so
that
it's
was
definitely, it comes down to personal taste, and so it's definitely
yeah.
a divisive one. You know, you're either gonna love it or you're you're not going to be a fan.
Well,
But don't go into it expecting it to be like realistic. Like it has no desire to appeal to your sense of realism. Because my thing was with the baby, like when it did come to like the unrealistic shit, that baby would have been dead as hell. Dead as hell after
saying,
everything that happened. You know what I mean? But
if you want, I just don't think that there was a story in this. Like, I just still don't see a point. So that's like, if you want a movie to watch that has action, cool scenes and shit like that, that has no real point to it, which there needs to be movies
I
like
wouldn't
that.
say that. I would say the point of this film was the gaslighting. It was the gaslighting and the thing about the men for sure. I mean, whether it be the abusive husband or all the assholes on the plane. And notice that all the assholes were the ones that died. That's who died when she got back on the plane. All the ones who were like, "Oh, you're full of shit and you're just a liar and you're this and you're that and blah 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 blah."
Well,
And we're still going to continue to be that way, and they just got fucking torn
the
apart.
pilot, the pilot guy was like that too, though. To her, the foreign one, he was all the one that was like, "We need to call and check her papers. She shouldn't. I'm a foreign flight, and she shouldn't be on this flight." So I don't know. The only dialogue scene that really bugged me was when that dude found out he was the father of that kid, and when they're arguing, he's like, "Give me back my baby," and then she goes in and explains everything, and then he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" It's like, bro, you just said that was your kid, like, so obviously you know about this kid.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he could have just pieced it together. You know, he knew who she was when she got on the plane, and I think he just kind of assumed. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I feel like if you were fucking some chick and she showed up and there's a baby in a box and stuff, you're probably going to be like, "This is probably mine. This probably belongs to me."
Well, then
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I get
But
plot movie,
the
but
last
I
thing
don't.
I'm going to say about this movie is the ending. Because for you, fuck you, you didn't like it. But for me, that last scene when the gremlin does take the baby away that last time, I'm not joking. I literally cheering. I was literally like, get that motherfucker. Because you knew. She's like, literally grabbed it by the tail and pulled that motherfucker back and beat the shit out of that gremlin. I was here for it. I was definitely here for it. I really enjoyed it. All in all, I'll say to you, the Chase and Shep show watchers, it's a divisive one. You're gonna love it, or you're gonna feel like me, or you're gonna feel like him.
I mean, like I said, like it's that. Yeah, it wasn't one that I was like, oh shit, I need to watch this again. Like I was just like, eh. I mean, they did good, but you could definitely tell. Like to me, I could definitely tell it was like a Netflix-esque, especially that in the NCG on the little guy, gremlin guy. It kind of reminded me of some sci-fi. So I was like, eh.
It's gonna happen. We're gonna
And it's just
disagree
like,
sometimes.
where did this guy come from? Because I thought he was dead.
It's gonna happen. We can't agree all the
We
time.
can't.
We can't like
No.
everything, man.
That's why they make movies, man.
That's right.
For people to like different ones, or they would all be bland and the same, and we would probably all hate them.
That's right.
So
Well, there you have it, guys. Your two picks. You're gonna have to check them out and see how you feel for yourself. You know, some
yeah,
of you out there might not like Freaky.
it's
You know,
true.
it
And I might be
happens.
like,
It's
"Fuck
not going to
that."
be for everybody. And some of you out there may love Shadow in the Cloud as much as I did.
Might want to go see it in theaters.
Hit me up. Let's go see it. All right, everybody. Well, we'll catch you tomorrow for Super Saturday.
Super Saturday.
Peace.
Peace out. Smooches.